Hey YouTubers, it's me, Monkey Dragon here, guys, and I've had a problem with the Black Ops 2 ranking system. Or, not the ranking system, yeah, the ranking system. The way that they rank you against other players, and a lot of people have always had controversies about whether or not it should be based on certain things, and every single game has its own take, whether it be how many total kills, how much total score, what's your score per minute, all this other different kind of stuff. And I feel personally that it should not be based on your KD or on your win-loss ratio, because that doesn't mean that you're a good player. It could just mean that you're a player that keeps getting into lobbies with winning players and you just hide in the back of the map and you do absolutely nothing. Nor should score per minute mean that you're a good player either. Although it may mean that you're an active player, that doesn't mean that you necessarily do what it takes to win or that you do what it takes to be a good player. That could just mean that you play a lot of game modes with high score per minute, like Search and Destroy, or no, that has a low score per minute, and you could be a really beast player who just is really beast at Search and Destroy, but you'll have a lower score per minute than a person who plays TDM. So my idea of a ranking system is actually based on all three: a combination of your KD ratio, a combination of your win-loss ratio, and a combination of your score per minute. I find if you were to combine those all three together, that you would find a really good basis for how good of a player is. And this is just for all over career, not based on a specific game mode, because on the career system it's always been different, always. So what I figured, guys, is if you were to actually go ahead and take your KD number, which for me is 3.29, and then if you were to add your win-loss ratio, which for me is 6.87, and then if you were to add your score per minute, which for me is 364. And see, guys, what I figured is, if you were to add all those up, it really wouldn't make much sense if you were to just straight add them up, because what is 374? Because that doesn't mean anything, because then score per minute is way more overbalanced than what it really is, because then, dude, I have a 500 score per minute, and then your other score would be completely wiped out. So what I figured in order to counteract this is to actually not just add all three of them together, but to actually put a decimal after your first digit in your score per minute. So my score per minute is 364. So after the 3, put a decimal so that it's 3.64. So that this way, when you add them all together, so that it's 13.8. And I figured by doing it this way, when you add them all that way, it finds a more balanced and fine-tuned point. And I figure, 13.8 doesn't sound like a ridiculous number. That doesn't sound like a bad number. I figured that could be a really good number. Because maybe if you don't have a high, win-loss ratio, but you have a high score per minute and a high KD, that means that you're a really active player and you're a really good player. It's just sometimes you don't win. But if you were to flip it on the other side, to where if you had a high win-loss ratio and a high score per minute, you're really active, you do everything you do to win, and you win a lot, but your KD suffers for it, so that the people with the higher KD maybe won't match up to the people who are more active. You see what I'm saying? So this way it actually shows who's a more active player, because maybe you don't have a high KD like I just referenced, but you have a high win-loss and you have a high score per minute. Or maybe that you don't have a high score per minute, but you have a high win-loss ratio and a high KD, in the sense of that maybe you camp, just quote-unquote camp, or defend the objective, whatever the hell you want to call it. But maybe you do this, and so that maybe you're not very active in the sense of that you're not running around looking for kills, you're doing all this stuff. Maybe you're always defending bomb plants, you're defending the flag carrier, you're defending the home base, you're holding out, looking for every, you know what I mean? You're really suppressing a zone in the sense that maybe you're really defensive, and maybe you only get like 10 kills a game, and that's like every single game, maybe you die 1 or 2 times, so that your KD is a freaking 6, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you win 60 and 10, you know what I mean? It may not mean that you're doing an amazing game, maybe it means that you hold your base very well, and the result of that is that you win. You see what I'm saying? I figured by doing it this way, it can really show how good of a player you are and rank you up evenly among other players. And then maybe it also balances the sense of whether or not you're a really high active player, the player that always wins, you always run onto bomb plants and blow up and die all the time, but you have a high score per minute and a high win-loss ratio, versus the super hardcore COD killers that never die, but they never play the objective. They're always, on the other side of the map, spawn killing, not helping, get the bomb planted or go capture the B flag or something, you know what I mean? It'll balance between, hey, man, you're a really beast COD player, but hey, look, man, I got the same score as you because I have a high win-loss ratio and I have a high score per minute because I do everything that it takes to win. You know what I mean? It balances between everyone, between the different play styles that there is, because now it won't be, hey, I got a higher KD than you, you suck. Well, what the hell, man? I got a high win-loss ratio, I have a score per minute. You know what I mean? I figured this way it'll balance between that, the different play styles. But anyways, guys, we reached the end of this video. So, like the video if you liked it, or if you found it helpful. Subscribe to me if you want to see more of my videos. And don't forget to tell your friends about me, because who wouldn't want to win $20? I'm Monkey Dragon. That's all I got, guys. Peace.